come in and know Meala Betterman. Eh?
No Meala Betterman.
No Meala Betterman.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
If
That's all I've got.
Okay. Come in and know Meala Betterman. Meala Betterman sounds like a name. I want that as a new mascot now, Meala Betterman.
Could that be a bee?
It could be if we have a bee like a little top hat or something.
Meala Betterman.
We need to
artists get cracking.
Yeah, we need to start naming the various bees and give them like unique identities, and we'll have a Scrooge kind of bee.
Yeah,
called Meala Betterman, and you get to come in and know him.
So Sean,
Happy Christmas!
Merry Christmas! It's been a great year for Meala, hasn't it?
I thought you were going to say it's been a great year for Christmas.
It's been a great year for Christmas.
We've not been just building up to it. It has been a good year for Meala. I mean, our own IP finally is kind of moving. We're making it officially. Doodle Girl is in production. I mean, by this podcast next year, we'll have it on TV, and there'll be
a Meala cartoon on the telly.
It'll be on the toy show. I'm telling you now.
Yep.
I'm making that promise.
It'll be surrounded. Patrick Kilty will be wearing a knitted Doodle Girl jumper.
Yeah. And
for 5 minutes because the jumper rotation is.
And you or me are going to be the celebrity that comes out in the background when it's the kid being like, "What's your favorite thing about Christmas?" "I like Doodle Girl." And
if you met someone who was involved with drawing some of the Doodle Girl drawings, would that be great? And they're like, "Yeah." And you're already behind them.
Yeah, and then they turn around and then there's just a realization of, I've not really got much to say to you.
The horrible realization of, I thought cartoons were just alive and real. And no, I didn't know there was just people.
Ugh. Stinking people.
I'm
going to come out on the toy show all stinking.
Stink lines.
With the big raggedy hoodie.
So, hey, listen.
Yeah.
We're not just here to listen to you shill Doodle Girl. We're here to listen to some clips that we collected over the year. There's only been 3 Meala podcasts this year, but that's because we were so busy making the dang cartoons.
I know.
You know? So,
although that sets us up now for like, anytime we're busy, no podcast.
First up, we got Swap Paz. You remember talking to Swap Paz?
I remember Swap Paz. Davey Swap Paz. Let's
hear what we didn't hear that time.
Okay. One thing that we'll definitely cut this, but like Owen and I just always have the conversation of like loving Turbo Fantasy and having to go through the ordeal of being on Mondo and people wanting more Happy Tree Friends. Yeah. I'm sure you've had this talk plenty of times, but yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't my page; it was on the Mondo's page. So the hundreds of hate just went straight to them. I didn't get that to my inbox.
Nice.
I hope that wasn't discouraging, because I mean it was discouraging for me reading it. Like, come on, guys. Happy Tree Friends was quite a while ago.
Not at all. I mean, I kind of. Obviously, I'd like to be better appreciated so that I could maybe generate more kind of paid work in this area. But I can definitely, I mean, if I'm setting out to make something deliberately off-putting, I can't complain if I'm putting people off.
Yeah, Sean.
Yeah. I was going to mention, it might be one that we can edit to have a bit earlier, because I was curious in the topic of dreams and just software in general. It got to a point with dreams where, you know, it's tied to a video game community and you're kind of locked into the updates that developer has to have, and it's tied to a console and stuff like that. I always wonder about that when trying out a new software, because when you pull yourself out of just focusing on, you know, stuff that's made for animation like Flash or TV Paint or Toon Boom, there are a lot of really good options out there. Some of them are, I guess, depending on how you look at them, free, and some of them are like unusual but could technically be used just as well as anything else is. I guess one example that I really like as well is the Nintendo DS animation software, the Flipnote 3D and all that stuff. And you still see so many people that they don't even use the 3DS version. They use specifically the Nintendo DS version is like their favorite one. How have you found that in terms of like working with something that I guess is, I suppose, a piece of like video game software rather than something that's made for bespoke animation stuff? Like, do you run into issues with like licensing or anything like that, or?
I think the license is fine as long as you're not trying to sell anything. I think that's
Okay.
That might be a major stumbling block then if you.
Yeah.
I mean, that for me it's fine because I'm not expecting to make any money off a Caldo,
Okay.
but anyone else professionally wouldn't do it. But I think there's enough animators that work at making dreams that they know what people need, and it's like a really robust kind of graph system and stuff. And I think one of the final updates is going to be to add some more tools to that. The only thing is because they've tried to make it easy for someone to use with a control pad and stuff, whereas anything else you use, you've got all your little shortcuts set up and you can't do that, and you feel like you're like sometimes flying through a world to grab the menu to pull it over to do things, which is fun at first, but if you've used to a PC with multiple screens, it's just obviously not as time efficient.
Those little kind of user experience things are always so funny. Like Procreate on iPad has like a nice little cute feature where to bucket fill a thing, you have to like grab the color and then drag it over and then drop it in, and it's quite nice the first time you do it. But when you're like filling in like something with like, you really just want to tap on the stuff and like dragging it every time. And I guess that's what you get when you get something that's this middle ground between them wanting it to feel like a toy but also it being a creative tool. I don't know if I had a question there. I was just
no, I agree, because that's what I'm not annoyed by Procreate, because I love Procreate, but in Photoshop I just do a magic wand and I've got a shortcut button that expands the fill and fills it so that you don't get the little crispy edge. Whereas in Procreate you're kind of scrubbing back and forward till it fits what you want.
Well, like what we use TV Paint, I guess we're getting very technical. Whereas that it looks less user friendly and less like fun, and it's so stripped back. But at the end of the day, it's like when you need to get a lot of animation done, it's so much faster for just tap and you're done. But like I do wish I could have it look like the 3DS thing that has a cute little frog for the undo button and Mario Paint and stuff like that.
I think nothing will make those kinds of problems announce themselves faster than trying to use them with animation. Because it's one thing to sit down and do a picture for fun, but if you're like doing frames, if there's anything that takes any bit longer than it needs to, within 20 minutes, you're going to be like, I think I've just become a software engineer. I've got some notes for head office here.
Dreams.
Would you ever consider giving Dreams a go?
It was on PlayStation. What is it again? I mean, he probably just said, didn't he? Yeah, I would.
Everyone listening
is
screaming the answer at you.
You idiot! You idiot!
You clown! You clown!
Yeah, I would like to give Dreams.
Why don't you remember? You were the one talking to him.
I don't think I remember listening back to that episode of the Meala podcast, and the one thing we forgot to do was leave some sort of note explaining what Dreams is. So it does sound like we're just talking about dreams when you sleep. He's like, I'm always making stuff in dreams, but it's copyrighted when I try to release it.
I'm always making stuff in Dreams.
Yeah, so I'll give you the context now. Dreams is a video game that you can make things in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's listen to something we didn't hear on the podcast when we were talking to the lovely Spencer Wan.
Spencer Wan.
A very, very exciting guest.
Big deal.
What a talent.
What a talent.
But you know that already.
Yeah, I want to hear what he's got to say.
Let's hear it.
We're working on starting up a show that has a fairly limited approach. It's kind of that preemptive, like how much stuff can we just make now and reuse it like constantly. And I'm also trying to be careful with it though as well, because I remember I saw you tweet how you, was it Owl House or was it something, how you had
that dust cloud.
Yeah, you made a bunch of dust cloud animations that were like, okay, these are from angles that will definitely come up again.
It actually wasn't a bunch of different animations. It was like 3 different dust cloud cells married to like one kind of swooping shape. And I had figured out that if you were to just like use the harmony keyframes and some of the like compositing functions inside that program, you could make it appear at any conceivable angle.
Oh, okay.
And so that was meant to be a way to basically just make it so that no one ever had to animate dust clouds, but the compositors couldn't figure out how to use it because it required like a slight knowledge of animation to get the first. As long as you got the first like 6 keyframes right, the dust cloud would just do itself. But you needed to get the first 6 right, and no one could figure out how to do it. So I set it up a few times in some of the earlier episodes. Like you'll see it appear in different forms, and then it disappears forever, and the animators just animate all the dust clouds by hand. Which like I would have pushed harder for it. Had that been like my actual job, like if I was like an effects designer at Disney, but we just didn't have like, we didn't really like have an effects animator, so I was just kind of trying to pick up slack where that was a lot of my job on the show, was just kind of like picking up slack in little things. Like I was like filling gaps, right?
Yeah.
There was like the animation I did, but a lot of it was just like we need you to quickly, very quickly, like fix this walk cycle of this character walking backward, because no one can figure out how to do the character walking backward. And I was like, yeah, sure, it's gonna look like shit. I'll have it done by the end of the day. And so you never see me post that stuff online, but it's like a lot of my job when I work on shows is just that, and I think it's fun. Like it doesn't always have to be sky high work. Like I think that like one of the greatest joys of like working on a big production for me is just like the little day-to-day problem solving and like making other people's lives easier if I can. And then there are times I make their lives a lot harder, and I apologize for that.
It is nice on a team though when you're on a bigger production like that, when you've got your production plan and your schedule, but then little things do come up where you're like, well, this one person on the team definitely animates horses 10 times faster than anyone else, and it's not assigned to them, but could I just ask them to, it's 2 seconds of a horse, it'll take me a week, let me give it to this person. It's nice when you find those little things. Actually, that was something I was meaning to ask you, Spencer, because I don't know if it's like a more recent thing, but you're super into archery, right?
Yeah, I've actually been doing it since I worked on Castlevania. I got introduced by one of the animators there, Cassie Urban. I was like, fine, I'll do your silly little bow thing. And then I went there and I was like, oh no, I love this. This is it. But I got really serious about it during the pandemic because it was one of the only activities I could do outside where people had to stand away from you.
Nice.
Yeah. I've actually competed in state a few times too.
Nice. Well, I've seen a couple of clips. You're doing like trick stuff. You're doing like run and jump stuff, right?
That's just me messing around. Like I think my main focus really is on like sport archery. But then, you know, if I'm on a range in the woods that I set up by myself with my friends, every now and then I'll be like, okay, someone bust out the phone, I'm going to try something.
So you're working towards the Breath of the Wild thing where if you do it in midair, time stops and you can do like...
Yeah, I did exactly the Breath of the Wild thing. You know, that was actually like my 10th take, and we'd gotten it by like the 8th and 9th takes, but I was like, hang on, I want to try jumping like I'm going to hit a volleyball. And that was the one that like gave me enough height and stability in the air to actually like hit the target well. Like I was hitting, but I was mostly just barely hitting. It's hard to jump and shoot a bow at the same time. It's hard just to keep the arrow on the bow when you're doing it.
Wow.
But it's, you know, it's fun. That's just me messing around, and it's like, I don't know. It's a thing to be curious about in archery, like there are things to be curious about in animation. A callback for the audience. There you go.
Yeah.
What was he talking about in his clip? As you know, we just heard Spencer Wan talking about dust clouds, effects, and problem solving.
Oh, okay.
You know, problem solving, of course, when you're on a team and, you know, there's problems that need to be solved. It's not always like everyone just do the thing. Sometimes there's a thing that is like, can anyone solve this problem?
This is quality stuff.
I know I'm putting this in.
You're solving a problem right now.
I'm solving it. You know, like maybe you've got a problem with a podcast host.
Yeah.
Maybe someone knows the solution. Sound effect of loading gun.
Yeah, we've solved a lot of problems this year.
Also talked about archery.
Oh, do you know what? Maybe I mentioned it when we were talking to him before, but I've tried archery.
You've tried archery. You didn't talk
Do
about
you know
this
what?
before.
It hasn't
Tell
been
us.
since. It was actually before we did that podcast, so I don't know why I
wow.
didn't bring
So
it up
you
then.
so you didn't lie, but you weren't truthful.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your archery adventure.
It was at a stag do, so
But make it kind of about animation or Christmas.
I didn't do too badly, and that's kind of unbelievable, much like a cartoon. See, but I got I
This story isn't real.
I did
like
the
a
Robin Hood
cartoon.
thing. I did the Robin Hood thing. I split an arrow down the middle.
Oh,
I didn't do that.
No,
But I did.
no, you did.
Okay. One of the
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Very good. Yeah, no, you did. One of the guys that was with us insisted on doing like slides, like running and sliding on his back and then shooting, and he really injured his like ankle doing
It's
that.
funny, like when I think about people having a go at archery,
Yeah.
the fact that people will so quickly go to, I'm going to spin and shoot,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a backflip and shoot, I'm going to slide on the ground, I'm going to do the apple on the head, instead of just maybe at least one session of just trying to learn how to do it normally. No, I'm going to hang glide and do it. Sean, we recently talked to Paul McGrath, didn't we?
We talked to Paul.
We talked to Paul at length about Colm Meaney, and it killed me to take it out because, you know, I loved our chat about Colm Meaney.
Yeah.
But everyone gets to hear it right now. With Lady Betty, you had Colm Meaney.
Did you forget Colm Meaney's name?
I was in the middle of saying it and I had this sudden panic about
How do you say meanie?
Do I stress that second E? But how did he get involved? And did you get to interact with him at all?
Oh yeah. We kind of had the idea of Colm Meaney from the beginning, so we wanted a good recognizable voice. And David Pearce is the other actor, and not only does he do the voice against Colm Meaney, he does every other voice in the film. So he should get more credit, I think, than Colm Meaney, but because he's brilliant. We approached his agent, and his agent raked us over the coals, to be fair. Down to Colm Meaney has merchandising rights for Lady Betty. And we were like, sure, yeah, he can have all of them. That's fine. And
So when I bought that lunchbox, the money went straight to Meaney.
Straight to Meaney. And we set the script, and within, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, he got back. His agent got back and said, Colm likes the script, he'll do it. I said, he's in LA at this time, he's here at this time, he's here at that time. We were like, we're not going. And then there was talk of he would be in a studio in LA, and we would be a studio here, and we would be broadbanding the communication back and forth. And I was like, no, I haven't come this far not to be in the same room as Miles O'Brien. You know, I can't not do this. So we found out he lives in Mallorca, and he does a lot of, when he's doing voiceover work, he does it in a studio in Mallorca that he knows of. So he relayed this place to us. We just said, when are you going to be there? When would you like to spend 3 hours in a tin box under scorching heat doing this? So we organised it. My wife and I went for a long weekend. My wife produced the film. It was really nice. I was really, really nervous because I'm a big Star Trek nerd. Mm-hmm. And I would really, really wanted to Star Trek nerd out with him, but I didn't get the chance. We talked about it, and he was like, oh yeah, I did Star Trek. Yeah, it was just a gig to him. It was just a job. Doesn't want to meet
He's
fans.
not been to space.
He's not been to space, which I was very upset about. Didn't even go to the space station. But he was really good. He was really funny. He's a heavy smoker, so getting the lines from beginning to end, he would run out of breath, and he'd be, and then I'd say, okay, do the line from the middle to the end, and then we edited them together. And I played against him. I did all the readings, and I was really terrible. He was very, very good. And at a certain point, he's like, "Could you want me to do an accent? Because this character's it's all set in Roscommon." And I was like, "Oh no, just be you. Don't do any accents. We want people to recognize definitely you." And it was really nice, but it was scorching hot. It was in a tin, it is no ventilation or any kind of cooling down for him with this tiny little room. And he was in there for a good hour and a half reading the lines, like going, okay, more like this, more like that. And then he says, can we have a break? And I was like, yeah, we're nearly finished. And I looked up, he was sweating. Sweat was just streaming off him. We're like, oh yeah, of course. Come out. And we went outside and drank loads of water. And I was like, I'm really sorry, I wasn't thinking, because we had loads of air conditioning. And him in this tiny boot just sweating. And it was really lovely. We finished it. He invited my wife and I for dinner in his house the next night. We met his wife and we had dinner. It was lovely. It was really, really nice. And he was great. He was really, really great. His agent raked. I was so annoyed with the agents because they just wanted so much. And we were joking about it, telling him, he was like, oh God, I didn't know they were doing that. She says, but that's why they're my agent. You know, it's completely removed from him. He's like, I'm really sorry. And I was like, oh, listen, you know, I got to meet you and I nearly said nerd out with you, but I couldn't. And, but no, he was really, really nice. And a good cook as well. Yeah.
Oh, fair play. What did he make?
Lamb. It was love.
Lamb. Hot.
Lamb. Big chunk of lamb.
Irish stew.
Oh yeah.
Going up to the replicator. Lamb.
Lamb hot.
Just putting out lamb matter. Big taffy pull of lamb. Keep it coming, computer.
Keep it coming. It must be frustrating being an actor who is so beloved for just their own voice, because for exactly that reason, just being like, no, just do your voice. Don't act.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't there, because as soon as he says, would you like me to do an accent, I would be too tempted to say, may I've seen Die Hard 2, don't think about it. Or may I've seen Turbulence, don't even think about it. You're not very good at them.
I would not say that.
No, of course not. No.
I mean, if we're sharing Colm Meaney's stories, my only experience
I was
were you gonna ask?
Hoping, yeah.
Was at the IFT. See, I got to name drop the IFTAs as well. I was at the IFTAs, everybody, years ago. But yeah, no, Colm Meaney just walked by and I was incredibly drunk. And I just said, oh, Colm Meaney, come here. And he walked over and I just took a photo where he looks all smiley. And like, because I was quite drunk, all I could blurt out was just, Star Trek. And just the drop, the smile dropping to like a, right, yeah. And
like, I've done other things, you know.
Yeah. But all I could burn out was
he's incredibly hard-working. The amount of stuff he's in, it's actually frightening. And when we were trying to schedule where we were going to record him, and it was like, oh well, I'm making this series in not Tibet, where was it, in Malaysia, 10 episodes this, and then I'm going to be in New Orleans for this 6 episodes of this. And I was like, yeah, I'd never heard of these shows. And he's like, oh yeah, he's the lead in this one in Malaysia, and it's on Hulu. He's the lead on this, and it's shot here, and it's there. And he's working like I nearly said 400 days a year. He's working like 300 days a year, because the day he recorded with us, he flew in from LA the day before. 2 days after he was recording with us, he was going back to Malaysia to do the next 3 episodes of the series. And he's just around the world nonstop.
I love to think that he would be explaining this to you. He's telling you all the things he's doing, which definitely has this. It has this undercurrent of, I've done things other than Star Trek, and just like letting him rhyme off the 300 days a year that he's working, and then saying, "Wow, just like Miles O'Brien, what a hard worker that guy was."
I wouldn't dare. Yeah, but no, he was really, because I was like, oh, are you working? And they were just like, are you working anything? He was like, yeah. And then his wife was saying, yeah, we're going back to here, and then we're doing there, and then 6 weeks here and 6 weeks there. It's like, Jesus, he's never home. So busy fella.
And then it got sad.
Yeah.
Well, we won't badmouth him too much, because we'd like to cast him at some point, I think.
Oh no, like there's nothing but love for Meaney here.
I'm a big Meaney man. I'm a big Meaney man. I'm just trying to think of Meaney puns.
He is great, and he's very good in Lady Betty as well.
He is, and he's got the closing line in a very similar way to the way you've got the closing line in Define Intervention on.
Sitting in a cinema, a full cinema, and hearing my own voice say that line surrounded by people was mortifying. But
I love
it
those
was
little,
fun. I'm
'cause
glad
you
that it got a chuckle.
It's a little post credit. No, it's not even a post credits thing you did with Colm Meaney. It's a during credits thing you did, Paul, isn't it? Like he's reading out the credits. That was a nice
I hate the credits of short films. They drive me bananas because you watch a film which is 3 or 4 minutes long and then the credits are 60 seconds. It's like, come on, do something in the credits. So from the very beginning, I wanted to mock the credits.
Yeah.
And so I have David Pearce and Colm Meaney kind of each slag off whoever's in the credits. And we had to fight to keep that. We had to fight to keep that from all the way
It's
through.
a really good idea because, like, I know exactly what you mean where you're in a film festival.
That silence,
silence
hanging
just
in
like
the air is
because
And the credits of Lady Betty get more laughs than any other part of the film. I'm quite proud of that.
So there's your key. Make a film that's just credits. Nothing
Yeah.
I
else.
like that during those festivals and the credits being, they feel so long and slow. I guess it's just the pressure of how quiet it is. And I always feel, did you think there was going to be applause this whole time? It's like they'll be on their feet. We need to give people time to like sit back down and relax because they're
get
going
back
to
up
be
again.
they're going to be tearing the chairs up.
Yeah. That's why you either make your credits really short, have a gag in them, or make them incredibly loud. Like make the music like so that at least you can't hear the silence, because the silence is like
It's deafening.
Yeah, because if you just have like quiet piano music, or even worse, just nothing over the credits, and you can just hear people rustling and kind of go.
I'll always go for the gag. That'll be my thing. I'll always go for the gag.
I like Paul.
Paul's great.
Can I say, Sean?
Yeah.
This year I got to work for Meala, and of course I do that when I do the podcast. But I got to work on a cartoon,
on an actual thing,
which feels,
on a real thing,
like just one more layer inside the onion. You know, I'm working my way to the center of that big honey-filled onion, and it was such a great experience. It truly was. I mean, I know it seems like, oh, the host of the Studio Meala podcast is saying something positive about working at Studio Meala, but honestly, it was so great. I was so happy for the opportunity, and I'm really excited. Basically, folks, I wrote one of the episodes of Doodle Girl,
part of the writing team.
And you'll be able to see that next year.
It's a really good episode.
Oh, cheers!
It's actually my.
It's in my top 5 episodes.
It's my third favorite one, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
deadly!
Yeah,
but and that was just such a great time and very exciting. Like to actually write things down, and then because I've seen some of the production coming along, and to go like, that's the stuff that I was making up.
Yeah,
Moving around now and hearing the voices and stuff like that. It truly sends a load of butterflies through me. So again, thanks so much, and that was wonderful. Meala's the best.
Meala's great. Yeah, I should thank before I get to Doodle Girl, I should thank just everyone who worked on projects with us this year. We've done a few short form things like little trailers for games and things that haven't been released yet. We finished them a while ago, and thanks to everyone who worked on those. We recently did a little short film thing for Feroiga called Here For You, which is on our YouTube, but thanks to the team who worked on that as well. And then of course the Doodle Girl team, who are ongoing, still working with us until we get that season finished, and they've just been it's our first time doing actually having our own IP in production, and it is incredible the difference it makes when you're between doing a service gig and then your own production, because there's that little bit of pressure of like, oh, what if our own stuff is rubbish? But everyone's made it so good. Everyone's done an incredible job. The writing team, the storyboarding team, the animators, the designers, the cleanup team, our sound designers, and then everyone in Alt Animation, because Doodle Girl's a co-production with our buddies in Alt Animation, and they've been amazing. So just thanks to the team, and I mean, I guess good luck with the rest of it. Good luck with the rest of it. Sounds like I'm peacing out. Like,
But
you've finished that.
in the meantime, they should all have a lovely Christmas.
Yeah, have a
And
nice-
so should all our listeners.
Yeah. You should have a nice Christmas.
Yous have a nice Christmas.
Go on.
From Meala
From Meala
That's our
to you.
present.
La.
for you.
Do you get it? Is that kind of a pun? From Meala
From
to
Meala.
Eula. If
From
we ever
Meala.
make a rival studio, we can call it Studio Eula.
Okay.
Doesn't really work.
No, it works.
Who was our character earlier? Meala Betterman.
Meala Betterman.
No, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's subscribed and listened to our stuff, everyone who's following the studio, and then of course everyone we work with. And let's pick out of a hat one random specific person to thank.
Colm Meaney
Colm Meaney. Thanks, Colm Meaney.
for being such a great sport.
Yeah.